Hello, everybody. My name is Steph Kingston, and my pronouns are she, her. And I am coming to you today from Calgary, Canada. We are here to talk about how you can improve everybody's research experience by writing better screeners. So, why are you here today listening to me and not out feeling the earth under your feet and the wind on your face? Actually, you could still do that, by the way. I won't judge. But for when you get back, I've been a research operations specialist for over a year at Cisco Security. I have spent the last year recruiting for over 30 studies filled with highly technical and highly paranoid participants. They are not easy to find and harder to convince to come talk to a stranger about their security operations. I have also had the privilege to learn from two amazing women veterans of recruitment from the B2C and academia worlds, my teammate Laurel Schreiber and my manager Carolyn Morgan. I also love potatoes, and yes, this will be relevant shortly. So, first off, what even is a screener? For the purposes of this presentation, it is a survey sent to a pool of potential research participants. It's used to determine who in that pool is an actual viable candidate for the study you are recruiting for. If you wanted to conduct research with people who roast potatoes, you would start with a group of people who know what potatoes are, and then use questions to determine which participants roast their potatoes, maybe how often, and any particular tools they do so with. The output of a screener should be a list of candidates who are not just qualified but interested in your research. Optimizing your screener is going to help you with what, as user research folks, our number one goal should always be prioritizing the experience and time of our participants. They are giving us their time. It is up to us to prioritize it over ours. And that doesn't just happen in the interview, it happens from the moment your information comes across their desk. A good screener is going to save your time, your researcher's time, but most importantly, your participants' time. Plus, you will get better responses from your viable candidates and remove bad actors who are out to, at best, waste your time. Now, you probably know who you do want in your study, but there are two types of people you don't want in: bad fits and bad actors. Bad fits are just living their life, trying to help you do your research. It's not even their fault that they aren't what you're looking for. So don't waste their time, let them go gently, and maybe even flag them for future research. Bad actors, on the other hand, are at best trying to get some extra lunch money by being a little untruthful on a screener, and at worst, they might be scammers or even attackers. You want them identified, removed, and kept out of this and future studies. So, how do you use your screener to filter out bad fits and bad actors? Start by telling a story. Humans are wired to respond to stories and narrative. Now, keep in mind the participant is also reading you right now. They are looking to see if this is worth their precious time. If your outreach and screener are sloppy, confusing, or too long, you will lose viable candidates who just can't be bothered to continue. There is a really fine balance between providing enough context that a participant feels confident in what they are signing up for, but doesn't know exactly what profile you're looking for. This is really important for weeding out bad actors later on. If you're looking for people who roast potatoes, your outreach might look something like: we're interested in learning more about how people cook their food. This gives me a nice broad pool of candidates to start with who don't necessarily know that I'm looking for potato eaters or roasters, and then I can use my screener to filter down to my viable candidates. Your screener should start with broad, more generic questions, and as you move forward, use skip logic to remove people who are not good fits. For example, do you like potatoes? How often do you cook potatoes? And remove the folks who don't like potatoes or don't cook with potatoes as often as you're looking for. Don't waste their time by moving them forward when they will never be a viable candidate. You wouldn't start a story with a climax, and you wouldn't start your screener with your most complicated questions. So, now you've gotten past your initial filtering and you're into the more detail based questions. You're going to want to use some red herrings. Now, red herrings are intentionally wrong, fake, or false answers in a question. Bad actors are trying to get into your study using any information you give them. This is why it's important not to give too much away in your outreach and screener content. They will latch on to anything they can to try to get an interview and get paid. Often that comes in a shotgun style approach of selecting as many options as possible in a list in an effort to get past filters. Red herrings should look legitimate enough that a viable candidate will either think, well, that's fake, or I've never heard of that. But a bad actor with no subject matter knowledge may think they sound real and select them. And then you just use skip logic to remove anybody who selects that answer. But always Google your red herrings because it is shockingly easy to invent a name of a product or a vegetable that somebody has already used. I highly recommend product or thing based red herrings if you can swing them, as behavioral red herrings are much, much more difficult to use. I've come to find that most people, especially in cybersecurity, but in other industries as well, wear many hats. And you may remove a viable potato roaster just because they happen to also fry their potatoes sometimes. So, for this example, I would remove anybody who says they roast their potatoes in the toaster. Now, is it possible that they do that? Yes, there's a slim possibility, but they are much more likely to be a bad actor selecting every option in an effort to move forward. And if there are folks out there roasting their potatoes in unexpected ways, I will hopefully catch them with the other option. I would also remove anybody answering none of the above, as they aren't a fit for my study and I should let them go live their lives. Now, near the end of the screener is where you can get into those meatier, more detailed questions, because at this point you hopefully have mostly viable candidates. Open-ended text answers are a fantastic way to identify viable candidates from bad fits or bad actors. It is often obvious very quickly when a question is answered by somebody who does this thing every day. But that being said, you are going to need to prepare yourself for AI generated answers. They are a fact of life and they aren't going anywhere. The advantage you have over a bad actor is they, at least right now, aren't trying very hard. And they often paste in the first answer they get out of a Gen AI machine. They are trying to apply to as many screeners as possible to get paid. AI also tends to have better and more elaborate grammar than humans. Our fallibility is actually a delightful green flag in that department. AI is growing, but so are resources that can help you filter out AI. So arm yourself with knowledge because the bad actors certainly aren't going to stop. Okay, now you are armed and dangerous, and I expect you to use these new powers for good. Kick the scammers to the curb, do better research, and remember, one more time for the people in the back, that we are not, will not, and should not ever be a participant's number one priority. Thank you so much. I'm Steph Kingston. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and let me know how you like to cook your potatoes.